Hey everybody, welcome to the Enneagram Entrepreneur Interviews. I am Whitney Ellison and I am running behind schedule. I've got a teething baby and she has a fever, and so I had to take care of that first, which is what happens when you're a mama. Sometimes those babies grow teeth. So right now what I'm doing is looking for my questions for the interview, because I have a wonderful guest. Here they are. I have a wonderful guest today. It's Kait or Caitlin Lott from Kait's Cravings and Kait's Kaleidoscope. She is an Enneagram Type 4, which is the individualist or the romantic. Kait is so incredibly talented. She's an artist, which you can see her art through Kait's Kaleidoscope. And she's also a content creator and influencer for the greater Cincinnati area. So I see that she is on, and I'm going to figure out how to... Kait, can you tap the button to request to join? I'm looking for... Let's see here. And there is MK. Hi, MK. Kait, there, here. I think I got it. I'm bringing you on, Kait. We're just waiting for her to pop in. Okay, it's delayed. Hang on just 1 second. I'm going to switch to data. Well, guys, I promise we're going to get there. Oh, it's connecting. All right, guys. Thanks for waiting. Hey, how are you? I can. It's a little delayed. How's your reception with me? Everyone, hang on. We're having some technical difficulties. Okay. I see a look of distress, Kait. Okay. Do you have your data switched on by chance, or are you working through internet?
Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you.
It's blurry, and it looks like some of your audience is saying they can't hear you. Would you be able to switch to data and give it a shot? Sometimes the Instagram live goblins are kind of...
Yeah, not fans. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No.
You're blurry. Hey, audience, can you... Okay, I see it. There it is. Okay.
Right here.
Oh, Instagram Live. Get with the program.
You know what? I wonder if this is... Give me like a moment to try something really quick.
Go for it.
Because I wonder just where I'm sitting in the building. Because
listen, I'm game for hanging on. You do what you got to do. Friends, we're going to have a great conversation. So just hang tight.
We're going on a field trip.
That's right. And while you do that, I'm going to get my headphones on. And everybody, this is called Living in the Zoom World.
All right, we're traveling.
Okay.
We're traveling.
For those of you that see,
How
just
do I
joined,
sound?
welcome. We are, Kate, you're getting more and more clear. Great. Now you're like
Yay!
live and moving and everything is coming together.
You
So
can hear me.
I think we found a good spot. And you look beautiful.
Yay. Oh, wow. Thank you so
Yes.
much. You look great yourself.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
when you
you.
work at
I'm
a
not
high
thrilled with
school,
my lighting, but
you
thank you.
just, okay, when you work at a high school, you just got to find the right spot, you know?
So you work in a high school too? This is a secret I did not know about you. I'm sure it's not a secret to anybody else, but to me.
Oh, this is my day job. So I work with mainly juniors and seniors, and we talk about their future career plans and goals and who they want to be and who they're going to become. And
What a great job. That's awesome.
I love it. I really, really do. I don't know if I'll do it for the rest of my life, but right now it's just perfect. I enjoy it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, well, we learned something new. Okay, so Kate's not only a content creator and an artist, she's also teaching the next generation how to bring us
We're
forward.
working on it. We're working on it.
That's
That's
right.
for sure.
That's right. All right, Kate. So, with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me about who you are, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lott, and by day, I'm a career and college access professional, so to speak. And, my little side hustle slash fun gigs are an artist. So I actually took kind of like a break from that, but I had someone order another one of my integration pieces. So I did get into painting this week again. And now I do content creation and really don't like the word influencer, but I guess influencer.
Sorry.
No, there's no way around it. It really is what it is. And I think we just we feel like the word influence is bad, but I'm like, you can be a good influence.
That's
So
right.
it's a word I'm trying to get more comfortable with, but it's just awkward. Like you're like, oh, hey, I'm an influencer.
Well,
Nothing about that feels professional.
I get it because I don't like the word coach for what I do because I feel like that word is played and it sounds like, can you really trust this person? Are they really qualified to help? All that stuff. So that influencer, coach, those words are complicated, right? But the intention of our work is deep and good and meaningful, and the people that respond to us recognize that. So it's the energy we put out, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Awesome. Well, okay. So you are a busy woman and you are also a beautiful Enneagram type 4. I love type 4s. I love type 4s because type 4s are very in tune with their emotions. And type 8s, such as myself, are not. And so I find that type 4s and type 8s can really jive well to bring out the best in each other. And so I would love for you to talk about how your Enneagram type 4 energy operates in your life and works with the core missions of your business.
So it's funny that you say that because my sister is a type 1 and we often have discussions on, she was just talking about like how she was frustrated the other day and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, Kayla, all of those are natural things. You're going through a lot of changes. These are big decisions. Your body is trying to adjust. She was just like, oh, natural. I don't think that way. And I do all the time. And one thing that I've become really cognizant of, both my personal life and my business, is I cannot hold people accountable when they don't know how I feel. So that's probably what plays the biggest role in my day-to-day, career-wise, etc. is I'm feeling this way or I'm thinking this way. And I aware of it, and I am holding someone hostage for not responding to how I'm feeling when I didn't communicate how I was feeling. So I really try and say hey, what I didn't like about this experience, or hey, the issue that I'm having right now is this, or what would make me really happy and excited about working on this project would be X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So that's probably the core of how it's used. But outside of like the feelings, the creativity and like need to create is obviously playing a role.
Yes. Lots of
Yeah.
artists relate to the type 4 the most. So I love that. I love the creative spin that you have with this, and the gifts that you have, and that really complements the internal construct of how a type 4 motivation leads.
Yes. It's like not just about food and eating, which one thing I realized as a type 4 compared to my like fellow friends and food bloggers in the area is that they like eat for the sake of eating, like in nourishment and whatnot. I'm like, okay, so what kind of centerpiece is going to be on the table? Like, can we go to the restaurant during the day? Like, almost always when people are like 7 o'clock, I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me. Otherwise, I need natural sunlight. I want to get all the.
It's
like,
a mood.
Oh my gosh! And I realized I'm like, do I even care how the food tastes? I'm so focused on like I want to see it. And even when I go to restaurants, my friends can read the menu and I'm like, I have to look at their Instagram. Like I have to be able to like visualize, how
The experience. I love that. It's like living in art. I mean, you're really taking advantage of the moment, the now, being in the present and absorbing the gifts of your surroundings. I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of people could learn from that. And I also think that that's why you're good at what you do in terms of content creation and offering that to businesses, because you do absorb. And then not only do you absorb it, but you project it back out.
Ooh, yay.
Very mindful. Let's see. Lauren says, love the mindfulness. Do you even mindfully know that you're being mindful? Because you are.
No, I do have a lot of people say to me, though, they will, like when people describe me, it's interesting to hear because it's how I want to be seen, but it's not how I feel that I'm seen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, you're so creative and you're so talented. And I'm like, am I? How, like, where did you get that? Like, what part of me are you feeling that from? And I think it's because for me, I enjoy it, but it's also very meticulous for me because 3 comes out and that like, well, I'm trying to get something done and it's a goal and like, I'm trying to be like a strategic thinker, but every getting the 4. And so I'm like, oh, yay. Sometimes I don't feel like that's what I'm portraying.
Well, I do think that the type 3, the performer or the achiever, is a great complement to the type 4 individualist or romantic, because sometimes type 4s actually, you're very good. Sorry, this lighting is killing me. My eyes look so dark right now. Anyway, speaking of aesthetics, I am not pleased with mine right now. Anyway, what I was saying was type 4s can, if they're not self-aware, they can get caught in internalizing their emotions and holding them in and not externalizing emotions. So the first thing I want to do is call out that you have identified that and basically said a very true statement, which is, I can't hold people accountable for the way they treat me if they don't know how it makes me feel. And so my job is to articulate that. And I think that's fantastic. The second thing that I want to call out is the complement of the 3 wing to a 4, because sometimes 4s can get caught on the internal so much so that it becomes almost a paralysis, and either they start something and can't finish it, or they don't even get started because they're stuck in that melancholy yuck state. And so having that 3 wing, because 3s go, execute, really helps light a fire under the motivation of the 4 to close the loop and produce and do those things. So I hear that loud and clear from you.
Yeah, and there was one point in my life where I would have to look back and it's like the emotions were so unaligned with understanding like why I'm feeling this way. Just like months of unproductivity. Like I just look back and I'm like, where did the year go? And I can pinpoint moments of extreme happiness or extreme sadness, and like I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I remember my sister saying, she was like, with the Enneagram, it's good to know that about
Mm-hmm.
yourself because usually your greatest weakness is also your biggest strength.
Yep.
So if you can really tailor your weakness into a strength, then like you'll be intuitive about how you're feeling and how other people are feeling and how you can really target how you're feeling to get certain things done. So
I
like if
love
you're
it.
feeling and you know that, take the day and be aware that you're having a day and that's it.
Yeah.
And then when you're feeling happy and goal oriented, do all those things and see if you keep feeling that way when those things get done. So like it's such a simple mathematical equation with ourselves, is just understanding like this is my issue and this is how you turn it into a strength, and like constantly understanding that and attacking it.
I love it. That's so good. That is so smart. It's so intuitive. And there's not much to add to that. That's great. Thank you. So you mentioned your sister was talking to you about the Enneagram. Tell me about your journey with the Enneagram. How did you learn about it and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So my sister is also the Enneagram like whiz.
Well, we must
And
meet at some point.
yeah, oh, you guys will love each other. And I think it really started because, so my dad works in the corporate America field. And you know, when you work in the corporate field, you're always doing these like tests and strengths and weaknesses and this and that. And I feel like they had started conducting some on his level. And so he started learning a little bit about himself. And then my sister kind of on. And so one thing about our family is it's like one person's doing it, we all want to do it collectively. Like
That's
three
awesome.
out of us are like vegans ish. But it's kind of like, oh, you're doing this, let me check it out. So my sister really grabbed a hold of it, and she's like, what I like about it is I can interact with everyone in our family a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation. So she's the one who had me take it in the first place. And then when I took it, I was like, that's eerily accurate. And so we just continue to like learn about it. So usually when my sister are having conversations, she's like, oh, that's your this popping out, or that's your this popping out, or because you're so motivated by this, or if I'm really happy, she'll be like, Kate, you're doing so good, your Instagram looks beautiful, you're just out there like being a go-getter, like, and we really like weave it into just understanding ourselves.
Yeah.
So I as much about it as she does, but that's kind of how the journey started. It was just my sister and you know, thinking about learning about each other and our family. I think it's helped us interact better like with one another. Like we're way more forgiving with each other, because my sister is a 1 and there were like 3 years where we were like not having relationships. I'm like, you're perfect and you always have to be right and you're a rule follower, and I'm like a free spirit. And it just depends how I feel on the day. This could be bad, it could be good, I don't know, making irrational decisions. Like you're unhealthy, you go to a 7, you're just doing whatever you want. Like those two personalities, not understanding that those two personalities are working together. Sorry, that's a school bell.
That's all right.
But I think it really helps us like learn to understand each other.
Yep.
And having that, I try not to put too much stock into it. Like, you know, I don't want to typecast people. I don't want to handle every single issue in my life with that.
Sure.
But it's a good basis for me to be like, okay, I can understand you a little bit more. You understand me a little bit more. And I think that's what really helped me latch on to it, because sometimes you feel crazy because you're like, why am I like this? And I think every Enneagram feels that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why am I not in tune with my emotions, or like that aware of what's going on? And I'm like, why am I in a dark corner crying for 7 years? Like, I'm like, this is terrible. And then it's like, but why am I social and creative? Like, you know, the imbalance. So yeah, it just became interesting. And I latched on to whatever they were doing. So
It's great. So yeah, you called out a couple of things that I just want to touch on. Okay. So first, I think what you've articulated is the power of the tool to help give self-awareness and empathy, right? Because when we have empathy, and when the best realization that the Enneagram can give you once you discover your type is, oh my God, not everybody thinks the way that I do.
yes.
Right?
Oh.
Shocker. Big surprise. Okay. Like such a shocker. And when we realize that, then we quit taking it so damn personally when somebody might not understand why we think the way we do, right? So if we're
That
disagreeing about something, now it's like, well, maybe I communicated it with them in a way that they didn't understand, because maybe they think differently, right?
yeah.
And so now all of a sudden we have an active dialogue, and we're able to like talk about those uncomfortable things and acknowledge them and say, hey, so when I said this, it seemed like you felt this way about it. And I just want to make sure you know that that's not how I meant it, right? And you can have those conversations, and it's so much better. And I laugh because I'm picturing, okay, of course, I'm of the body center of intelligence too, as is your sister, the type 1, right? Type 1's primary motivation is to be good, right, correct. You know, they're the perfectionist or the reformer. Typically very impulsive about instructing others on how to do things, but not coming from a place of judgment like it might come off as, but more from a place of pure intention to help and make things better, right? And when a 4 can understand that that's where it's coming from, it's a lot easier to process than for a 4 whose primary defense mechanism is introjection, which means that when something's wrong, they immediately internalize and think that they did the thing that made it wrong, and then they get all spirally, right? So, you know, that exchange, I could see how that could get a little out of hand when you're not, you know, when you're not fully understanding the place that people are coming from. So now,
yeah.
let me see here. Kate, is that your sister?
Keiko, that's my sister.
I had a guess that was your sister. Thank you for clarifying. You got it. And we must meet. And if you're an entrepreneur, I want you on my show because I need a 1.
Oh, she is.
Okay.
I had no idea how, like, and this sounds stupid, but like, I had no idea how talented my own family members were. She did my dad's website. And I
Awesome.
went to the website and was like, why the heck was I doing my own website? It's like, oh, talented. Got it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you shared that dynamic. I think that's powerful. And it's a great call out. And that's all right. The school bell's fine. Sometimes I get screaming babies in my background. So it's cool. All right. So let's talk about your core motivation, the desire to be unique, the desire to the unending quest for understanding why you are on this planet. What is my purpose? What, you know, how am I unique? So let's talk about that 4, which that motivation to me is the most abstract motivation of all of the motivations on the Enneagram. And so where do you see it coming into play in your business and in your life?
You know, I think like the business and life is kind of all encompassing. I'll say I spent a long few years living however I wanted to live, and thinking I was living my best life, and not really. And I had a literal come to Jesus moment, where I felt like I just like met God, like, okay, this is what we're doing. And in that, while I think there's a lot of spirituality and the gospel and discipleship, like all of that is wonderful, and I'm behind on it. But what it really did for me as an Enneagram 4 is it helped me understand God as a creator. So it changed how I looked at what I do, who I am as a person, and like even the little things that I do. So in a church class, I said yesterday, I just never put together like faith and food, because like, why would that go together? Like, why would God use anything like that, like those two things? And my sister and my family and, you know, just developing that relationship with God helped me understand like purpose. Mm-hmm. And if you're in purpose and, you know, you have your relationship with God, then all of those motivations of understanding God as a creator flow out of you. So when it comes to like, I don't know, like understanding life and stuff, I mean, like, I feel like my brain is on like explosives. Like I think some people see food and I think about the person who is in the kitchen and how they made the food and what culture they are and where they come from. And when people say like they're going to buy a coffee table, I'm like, think about the person who made that coffee table, because everything we do and use comes from a creator. Like the phone that I'm using to talk to you. Someone had to think about that, and someone had to manufacture it, and somebody else had to, market it. And then, like there's just this never ending like flow of creativity. And I think like really solidifying my relationship with God helped heighten that visual.
Yep.
So for me, like, honestly, my life motivation and all the questioning and whatnot is just working with people who are creating. And that's everybody. And it's understanding that even on the micro level, like the little things you do are always creating a little something. So even in my day job, like I'm creating a little motivation for you to think about more of who you want to be. Or I'm helping create a future by doing your FAFSA or helping you with an application. Like there's just, and everything is creation. And so like, I don't know, like thinking about the clouds and the houses, like everything is very fanciful for me.
Yeah.
And I love it because it makes sense to me. But it's interesting when I interact with people who do not think that way.
Yes.
Like
it's a vibe.
Yeah, like I walk outside, especially during the fall season, and I'm like, God is crazy. Like, look at this leaf and look at this. And in my food blogging, like, look at all of these foods coming together. Like, look how colorful they are. Look at someone thinking about putting that dish together. Like, I may not have thought to make like a butternut squash with Greek yogurt and blueberries. Like, who would have thought to do that? And my boyfriend, I will tell you, will be like, that's food. And that's it. And interesting that I like have always just been into art and had an interesting relationship with food. And now the way I look at it is like when I'm doing these things, when I'm food blogging, when I'm painting, when I'm working with students, all of these are acts of God in creation. Like we're all just like that's just like mind blowing to me. And it's like where I really allow like my faith, I think, to sink in. It's just looking at how we have these miraculous gifts to create, and they're all different. And I really appreciate that about the Enneagram. Like, I love that we're different because that, you know what I mean, innately makes me as like an individualist. Like, I want there to be 1s and 3s and 5s. I don't want to live in like, I don't want to be surrounded by a ton of 4s, frankly. Myself is more than enough. Yeah, like, just the meaning of life is for me is just to create. And if I'm doing that in any type of way, creating friendships, creating food pictures, prayerfully creating a paycheck at the same time.
Amen. Okay, by the way, your sister is trolling you. She said, look at this. And she put a leaf emoji with some laughing faces.
I can't see any of the comments.
You can't see that comment? That is so okay. Well, she got you. So she I love this sisterly love dynamic here. Okay, so Kait, I totally agree with you. Let's talk. I want to talk about open that up for a minute. So yes, the Enneagram, what this has taught me is the same thing. We are children of God. It's a reminder, right? We are creations. We are children of God. Our birthright is love. And what happened during the cycle of childhood is we went from this innocent baby who was born fully expecting to be loved and cared for and worthy just as she was, to a human that the world started getting to. And there's nothing wrong with the world inherently. It is what it is, but we build these defense mechanisms to protect ourselves from the perceived harm that we may or may not have experienced as children. And when we do that, that's how our motivations start developing. Each of us is born with a certain nature, like we're aggressive, dependent, or withdrawing. But those circumstances kind of start orienting us into designing the motivation behind why we do what we do and why we have the defense mechanisms we have, right? And so when I learned about the Enneagram, and you're right, it is a tool. It is not the be all end all. It is a tool. When I learned about the Enneagram, the realization for me was, oh, I've been doing all of these things for so long because that's what the world has told me to do, not because of who I inherently am. And when I had that discovery, I woke up, right? I stopped sleepwalking. And that's kind of what happened for me. And then 2020, I really got clear on this word. And, we've been talking words and, what they can mean and not mean. The word purpose. And I get really tired of our society trying to assign this distinctive meaning to everyone's life that is specific to every single person, when purpose is very simple. Purpose is, everybody's purpose is the same. It is to come on this planet and experience life. That's it. How we experience life, what makes us feel alive, is what is unique to each of us. And it ebbs and flows as our lives change. And when we're paying attention and we're looking around and seeing things in the now, we are living in and on purpose. And when we do that, we prayerfully find our successes and make money and make friends and create and, right? And so that is how the Enneagram opened my eyes. And I relate to what you said wholeheartedly.
Yes. Well, it's funny because my sister wanted the screw tape letters as a gift for Christmas. I did not get it for her, but I listened to it myself. And it's a really interesting, if you never heard of it, it's like this older demon talking to this younger demon about how to keep the human or the patient distracted.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny because it really does do that. Like the things that we do and we're innocent are the little things that are like our Enneagram faults. It's like, make sure patient one doesn't take a walk and enjoy what he looks around at. Or if he takes a walk in nature, he may reconnect with God, knowing that he's like not a child of the devil. And it's just these tiny little things that are like, hey, I know how to throw you off just enough to get you so distracted that like what you're supposed to be doing is over here and now you're way over here. The line that just stuck with me, like as a creative and as a thinker, really, and it was, our goal is to get them to bring fire extinguishers to a flood. And I was, and I was like, and that's what's happening. We're all using tools the wrong way. We have access to the things we need, but we're not understanding how to use them. And he's so good at that because it seems like such a small thing. And, then you're at the flood and you're drowning.
Yep.
And like, so get to a point in life where it's like, I didn't have the right tools and now I'm drowning. And it's going to take times as much work to get to where I need to be versus having the right tool and being there.
Exactly.
Like still a problem, but having the right tool to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that resonates.
I love it. And it's a series of choices, right? It's first the choice to say, I choose to wake up now. And then every time we go about our days, it's thinking, is this serving in my purpose of experiencing life? Yes. And mindfully thinking about that. And that can still mean you have to go to the grocery store, but now you're going with gratitude and you're going and you're enjoying being out and to your point, you're enjoying the aesthetics that are available to you as you experience the world. And so I love it. I feel very connected to you. I love your energy. I feel like we could take this offline and like hang out for a couple of days, which is wonderful for an 8 and a 4.
Wait, you're an 8?
I am, yeah.
I am like 90% sure my boyfriend is a 7-wing 8, and on a daily, I'm like.
Now listen, okay, as an 8, you're not supposed to type people, but he may very well be of the aggressive stance. That is very possible.
It's the challenging aspect because I'm so fanciful and accepting. And he's so like everything but, or have you thought about, or this and that. And I actually think it's really healthy for us to interact because it really keeps me thinking. And my dad is a 3, but he's a lot like that. Like he's like, are you actively thinking? Are you questioning? Or, are you looking at the world around you and are you challenging it? Yeah. It's just like 30 minutes of that. I'm like, got it. Okay. I want to like go paint something.
Okay, so that is a head center of intelligence behavior. So your dad is a 3, which is heart, but he's moving into his 6, the questioner, which is his support number when he starts to slow down and ask the questions. For your boyfriend, if he's a questioner like that, it's very possible he does come from that head center of intelligence, one of those 3 numbers, a 5, 6, or 7. And so, but I do see that behavior more in that head center of intelligence, where I can align with you on, with the 8 being of the body center of intelligence. I spend very, very little time dwelling on things, typically not enough time dwelling on things, because I can't stand getting into the minutia. I don't like that at all. It's very difficult for me. It's like torture. Like, I was an analyst at P&G for 5 minutes before I was like, this is not my life. I can't. So,
well, maybe that's what I should go into, because I have 3 people in the past like 2 weeks tell me like, you are an overthinker. Like, the fact that you're still pondering that is such a concern to me. And I'm like, really? I just
could be a 5 wing peeking through too.
I'm like, I'm just thinking more.
Good for you. That's great. I do think more, but as an 8, only about what I want to think about more of. But
I don't want to think about any of these things. I can't.
I love this conversation. Okay, so well, share this with me. What's one specific thing about your business or businesses that you want people to know?
I want people to know that, okay, a few things. One, through my art, it is very organic. It's just when I want to do it and when I feel to do it. So if you're ever interested in something, just reach out. Like, we just have to see how I'm feeling at the time. I will produce, but it's funny because I don't really have a medium. I sketch, I paint, I draw, I do this, and it's really all about just creating for the sake of creating, which has become lucrative, and that's really beautiful. But in that area, it was never intended to. Like, I really just wanted to share whatever was inside of me. Mm-hmm. Now, the food blogging world, feel free to follow me, eat your heart out. Please try a restaurant I have suggested, and feel free to message me if you do. Like, I love when people message me back and they're like, hey, I went here. This is what I liked. This is what I didn't like. Yep. And use me as a resource. I have people that I've collaborated with, and out of it has come collaborating for content creation, just creative discussions, what they should do with their Instagram, how they should grow it, what they want it to look like, or even modeling stuff, which I didn't even think. That has never been in my repertoire.
That was a fun day, wasn't it, Lita Ruth?
Wasn't it? Well, and I ended up shooting with Athleta in Shop Brookwood.
Awesome.
I socials by Man. So just, I'm really an open book. If you have any questions, like, reach out, let's talk. I love having a creative discussion.
Yep.
And just as like a piece of advice, just do it. Like, whatever you're waiting on doing, just do it. Because I am the food and somehow getting paid for it. So like, there's no door that can't be opened for you if it's meant to be opened.
That's right. And along those lines, well, 3 things. One is, if you're a business and you're interested in having Kait do content creation, I highly recommend her. You can check out her Instagram page, Kait's Cravings. It's beautiful. I won cupcakes from Molly's Cupcakes in Kenwood. Now that's the cupcake show that won the show, right? Like, that's a
So their actual head location is at Liberty Center, but they have a pop-up in Kenwood.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
cupcake and one.
Listen, this is now I'm going to shift for a minute into my quantum energy work. I've had this happen a handful of times where I've seen something and said, I'm going to win that, and I've won it. And I did with that. I did with a volleyball that was signed by Olympians that was being given away at P&G. I did it with one of those pass the bucket, like, drawings at a charity where you drop money in and you split the buckets or whatever. Anyway, all that to say, that was one of those times in my life where I said, I'm going to win that, and I won it. So that was cool. And then you got to come to my house and I got to see you, and that was fun. And then the other thing is I actually own a piece of Kait's art, and we made this connection before we even knew each other. I somehow managed to follow you, or somebody shared the post, but I'm the lucky person that got that Get a Life really cool little montage that you did with pen and, was it pen and marker?
And in a watercolor.
Watercolor, that's right. And so anyway, I'll post it in my stories so you can see. But after she sold that to me, a few people inquired about it, didn't they?
Yeah. So I works in Newport and was like, so I need a copy of that. And I was like, I can like maybe give you a print. I am so into just giving an original and then that's it. Like there's just like there's no print. Like, do you have the original and that's it? Because that also, like, as a creative, I'm kind of like, I just created it and then it was gone. And that's all I really want to do is like give birth and move forward.
Well, it was so good. And it's proudly displayed in my kitchen. And if you ever do decide to make prints, of course, you know where you can find it to make prints. But I would never keep that from you. But I'm not selling it to anybody. That's my original. So anyway, well, that's awesome, Kait. And so, okay, we know they can find you on your Kait's Cravings handle, Kait's Kaleidoscope handle. You have a website, right?
Kait'sCravings.com.
Okay. So please, you guys, Kait has an incredible business. She is a local entrepreneur. Please support her business. And that can even look in the way of follows, like her posts, share them, share her stories, pass her name along to new restaurants and food places. She's doing awesome things. So, Kait, thank you. I can't wait for us to get together in real life. We'll have a cocktail. And you can explain how the setting is enjoyable and then I need to be paying attention to it and pick my drink for me.
Absolutely.
It's good to see you. I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.